SpaceX has officially passed a critical environmental review, securing approval to launch up to 100 rockets per year from California's Vandenberg base, doubling its previous limit. This move signals the U.S. government's confidence in SpaceX's reliability and marks a major step toward full-scale commercial and defense operations from the West Coast. So what does this mean for the global launch race? Let's dive right in. SpaceX's new authorization for 100 launches a year from California marks a decisive turning point in modern spaceflight. For years, Vandenberg was seen as a quiet, strategic outpost, home to polar orbit missions and defense payloads. But after passing a major environmental and operational review, SpaceX has just received permission to double its launch rate from 50 to 100 per year. That's not a minor adjustment. It's a structural change in how the United States will access orbit. The review itself was far from a formality. Conducted by the U.S. Air Force and environmental agencies, it examined every detail of SpaceX's expansion plan. Sound profiles, propellant emissions, wildlife impact, even the effect of launch lighting on nearby marine habitats. The process lasted months. Yet in the end, regulators reached one clear conclusion. SpaceX could expand safely, efficiently, and sustainably. This decision clears the company to begin full development at Space Launch Complex 6, also known as SLC-6, one of America's most historic launch pads. Once used for the Titan IV and Delta IV Heavy, the site has now been reborn under SpaceX control. And the scale of transformation is massive. The plan includes a new integration hangar capable of housing multiple Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy cores simultaneously. A redesigned transporter erector system built for faster rollout and improved reliability. And most notably, 2 new landing zones that could soon bring Falcon boosters back to California soil after launch. These upgrades aren't just about convenience. They're about control. Every minute saved on integration or recovery translates directly into lower costs and higher launch cadence. The long-term goal is clear: make rocket launches as routine and reliable as commercial flights. But that raises a bigger question. Why does SpaceX need this level of cadence on the West Coast? The answer is one word: Starlink. As of today, Starlink's satellite internet network covers nearly every region on Earth, from commercial airliners to Arctic expeditions. But expanding that coverage requires more than just new satellites. It demands precise orbital diversity. Launches target mid-inclination orbits, while California's location allows polar and sun-synchronous trajectories, essential for complete global coverage. In simpler terms, without California, Starlink can't reach the entire planet. That's why this approval is so strategic. By doubling capacity at Vandenberg, SpaceX can now complete the remaining Starlink shells, reinforce its global broadband network, and deliver redundancy against potential satellite failures. Each new launch strengthens the web of communication that already powers airlines, ships, and even military field operations. But the implications go far beyond internet access. This approval effectively transforms SpaceX into the primary launch contractor for U.S. defense and intelligence operations on the West Coast. The same site that launches Starlink satellites will also deploy classified payloads for the Department of Defense. It's a quiet but undeniable consolidation of power. For decades, the U.S. relied on multiple contractors, United Launch Alliance, Northrop Grumman, even Blue Origin, to balance risk and maintain competition. Now, however, SpaceX dominates every metric: cost per kilogram, reliability, frequency, and reusability. The Air Force's approval of 100 annual launches is a clear recognition of that dominance, and a signal that the U.S. is ready to lean fully on SpaceX's capacity. Yet not everyone is celebrating. Florida PR local communities around Vandenberg raise concerns about increased activity, noise, light pollution, and potential wildlife disturbance. Environmental groups questioned whether doubling launches could disrupt marine life along the California coast. In response, SpaceX conducted one of the most comprehensive environmental impact studies ever submitted in the aerospace sector. The data showed that Falcon's kerosene oxygen exhaust dissipates quickly and leaves no measurable residue in air or soil. After independent verification, Regulators confirmed that the expansion posed no significant adverse impact. With that, SpaceX officially received the green light. But behind the paperwork lies a subtle shift in U.S. space policy, a shift that deserves attention. Instead of investing billions into new public infrastructure, the government is increasingly outsourcing launch capability to a single private operator. It's an efficient move, but one that concentrates power. If SpaceX were ever to face a serious technical setback, the nation's entire orbital launch schedule could be disrupted overnight. It's a calculated risk, and one Washington seems willing to take. Meanwhile, SpaceX's competitors are struggling to keep pace. Blue Origin is still preparing for only its second New Glenn flight after minor damage during stage integration. Axiom Space, despite high-profile NASA partnerships, has changed CEOs twice in 6 months while racing to build its first private space station. Relativity Space, known for its 3D-printed rockets, continues steady progress on the Terran R, but remains months away from flight. In contrast, SpaceX is launching roughly every 2.5 days worldwide, a cadence unmatched in history. And here's the twist that few analysts have talked about. Even though this new approval is officially tied to Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, documents show that SpaceX requested pad reinforcements designed for heavier, methane-fueled systems, the exact specifications compatible with Starship. Officially, SpaceX denies any near-term Starship operations from California. But if we've learned anything from Elon Musk's playbook, it's that infrastructure always precedes intent. The possibility is clear. SLC-6 may eventually support Starship test or recovery operations, turning California into a launch hub not only for satellites, but for lunar and interplanetary missions. That's where this story becomes far larger than Falcon, because with 100 annual launches, reusable boosters landing minutes after liftoff, and a fully operational Starlink network in orbit, SpaceX isn't just winning contracts. It's quietly building the foundation of a global logistics network in space. Each mission strengthens that infrastructure. Each booster landing proves reusability is not a theory. It's an industrial process. Each approval like this one cements SpaceX's position as both a commercial innovator and a strategic asset of national importance. Let's put this into perspective. In 2023, SpaceX launched about 96 missions globally. By 2026, with California doubling its capacity, the company could exceed 180 launches per year, more than the rest of the world combined. That's not hyperbole. That's a measurable trajectory based on manufacturing, reusability, and infrastructure growth rates. However, with scale comes complexity. Airspace closures during launches affect aviation routes. Satellite congestion raises collision risk. And as the number of Starlink units increases, so does global dependence on SpaceX's orbital ecosystem. This is the paradox of progress. SpaceX is solving one bottleneck while creating new ones. Yet from a broader view, it's hard to ignore the strategic brilliance of this move. By transforming Vandenberg into a high-throughput launch port, SpaceX effectively converts California's coastline into a gateway to low Earth orbit and beyond. It strengthens the U.S. launch infrastructure without a single new public project. And it ensures that, no matter what happens elsewhere, America's access to orbit remains uninterrupted. From the perspective of global competition, this changes the equation. While Europe struggles to bring Ariane 6 online and China accelerates private launch programs like Landspace and Deep Blue Aerospace, the United States now has a fully privatized, high-cadence capability under one banner. It's efficient, it's cost-effective, and it's unprecedented. But it also raises one final question, a question worth debating in the comments. Is this the beginning of a new golden age of space access, or the rise of a monopoly that no one can challenge? Either way, the facts remain. SpaceX has achieved what no aerospace company before it could: the trust of regulators, the capacity of a national space program, and the momentum of an industrial powerhouse. California's once quiet coast is now set to become the heartbeat of Earth's launch economy, powering constellations, defense missions, and perhaps one day, flights to Mars. And that, more than any headline, explains why this approval truly matters. What this means is clear. SpaceX's approval for 100 launches a year isn't just a milestone, it's a turning point. The company has moved beyond competition. It's building the foundation of how humanity will reach orbit for decades to come. From Starlink's expansion to future Starship missions, every launch now shapes the next phase of space exploration. And this is just the beginning. California is set to become one of the busiest gateways to space on Earth. If you found this breakdown valuable, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Space Hub for clear, fact-based coverage of every major breakthrough. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next launch that could change everything.